Hello, hello, and welcome to the Cellblock Scorch Week 224. I'm Cricket. I get to record this week as the winner. The prompt was given by Rev. It was a screenshot from a webtoon. It's linked on the Patreon. Um, but it's of a character. It's a close-up of his face. And he says, patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. And he's like smirking really intensely, and there's all these sparks, and it's like dramatic lighting, but then at the bottom of the panel in giant letters is just written Smirk. Like it's a sound effect, but it's not a sound effect. That was the prompt. And I will just jump right into my piece, which I have just called Smirk. Daisy looked over the chapters carefully, mostly without finding too much error. However, as always, there were a few notes to be made. Concerns about blocking and grammar and the like. She was sure that Chris would take them in stride. One thing, however. Daisy sighed and picked up her phone to call Chris. "What's the story?" he answered. "It's yours," she replied, like always. "Most of it is lovely. There's just a few notes, but I can't. On page 32, you've written the word smirk for emphasis." "Yeah, I thought it was a good effect." Chris sounded excited, which was par for the course when he had a terrible idea. "No, you can't just. It's not a sound effect. He's obviously smirking in the image. Why not just let the panel stand for itself?" Chris laughed. "Because this way is better. I'm sure all of your other ideas I'll agree with, but this one absolutely must stay." Daisy began to argue. "Chris, it really—" "No, I insist. We'll talk later." Chris hung up before Daisy could get a word in. Insufferable man.
Hello, Rev here with the judge's comments. This week I received Scorches from Styx and from Cricket, and they were both delightful. Styx is very good, like most of the Embers, and so you should definitely check it out on the Patreon if you're able to. But where I decided to choose Crickets because as I mentioned in my description of the image I shared as the prompt, the screenshot from the webcomic Villain to Kill, I at the time hadn't noticed the sound effect smirk. Like, I'm sure subconsciously that I had noticed it, but like it hadn't registered fully. And so the fact that like Cricket saw it and specifically made a fun little story about, an editor with their manhwa author talking about that, I thought it was delightful. And it pointed out something new to me in the image that I hadn't noticed when I'd been reading it. Back to Cricket with her comments.
And that's it. That's the whole thing. I'm gonna be completely honest. I feel like this week was one where I just phoned it in because I couldn't get past how silly that was to me, or I was crunched for time and I was just oh, this is my only idea. It's stupid, and I put it out there and it won. That's the thing about Rev. You can always get them, which is they're so susceptible to stupid jokes. And I love that about them. I didn't do it on purpose, but that's definitely why I won, because it's just it's stupid and funny and probably unexpected, because I think they probably expected, especially based on their judge comments from last week, they probably expected a serious answer, something serious happening. No. I was just you know what it's time for? Nonsense. And that was fun. Don't really have much else to say about this one. Except that this Chris is not the Chris from my continuity with the Reapers and everything. I just picked a name. It's just Chris. It's a good name for a nice guy. Probably because I had a friend in high school named Chris. Just a good name. Nice guy. Yeah, not too much else this week. But I did want to reply to a comment we got on Spotify from my Scorch number 19, which is from a user named Old Man, and just says, "I'm not crying, Cricket, you're crying," which That's exactly the response I was hoping for. I'm sorry and I love you. Yeah, that's all I have for today. Oh, I'm supposed to give the prompt. That's not all I have. Whoops, I did the next one. Hold on. Bones wrote out a really nice episode template for us. Do I ever look at it? No. My hubris knows no bounds. Anyways, the prompt I gave for week 225 was meet me at the Interstate Oasis, which I feel like it definitely feels Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy inspired. That's the vibe in my heart. It might have been when I think my dad might have been reading it to me and my siblings at the time. When we were kids, he read us stories and we called it Dad's Story, and then we grew up and we were like, I miss that. Wouldn't it be fun if we could still do it? So we use this like video chat app and he records videos of him reading chapters of books. Right now we're reading The Wheel of Time. Um, but I feel like maybe this was when Dad was reading us The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and for that prompt feels inspired by that. But I'm honestly not sure. The problem is I have this like doc where I keep track of all of my continuities and like scorches that maybe I want to come back to and stuff. And I have another page on there where I keep track of prompts that I've used and prompts I want to use in the future. So anytime something strikes me, I just go in there and put it on the list. And some of them sit there for years while I wait. And then every time I'm prompting, I like look at my group and who's going to be writing for me. And then I look through my prompts and I'm like, ooh, these people would do something good for this prompt. And then I give it. So make of that what you will. But next week, week 225, meet me at the Interstate Oasis. Keep that fire burning.
The Cellblock Scorch is a production of Stellacore, an independent group of nerds sharing their obsessions with the world. We can be reached at thestellacore@gmail.com, through comments on your podcast platform of choice, our Instagram, Stella_core, and at our YouTube, also called Stellacore. Feel free to check out our other productions on our YouTube channel or our cosplays on Instagram. If you would like to support our creative endeavors, you can give a one-time tip to the Ko-Fi of the writer of your favorite Scorches, or check out our Patreon, linked in the show notes. There, you can access the winning Scorches and episode transcripts for free, or sign up for Spark level support for $5 a month to gain access to all of the Scorch submissions.